Concerns are less for myself and more for those more vulnerable because of their lower profile. Like the man arrested in Oxford for calling a police horse gay. Or the teenager arrested for calling the Church of Scientology a cult. Or the cafe owner arrested for displaying passages from the Bible on a TV screen. I read somewhere a defender of the status quo claiming that the fact that the gay horse case was dropped after the arrested man refused to pay the fine, and that the Scientology case was also dropped at some point during the court process, was proof that the law was working well, ignoring the fact that the only reason these cases were dropped was because of the publicity that they had attracted. But what about the thousands of other cases that did not enjoy the oxygen of publicity? Even for those actions that were withdrawn, people were arrested, questioned, taken to court, and then released. You know, that isn't a law working properly. That is censoriousness of the most intimidating kind, guaranteed to have, as Lord Deer says, a chilling effect on free expression and free protest. Parliament's Joint Committee on Human Rights summarised, as you may know, this whole issue very well by saying, while arresting a protester for using threatening or abusive speech may, depending on the circumstances, be a proportionate response, we do not think that language or behaviour that is merely insulting should ever be criminalised in this way.
Because Oddie was here while you were filming it. We've got evidence
Oddie?
of that. So I'm going to
Who is
caution you,
Oddie?
but listen carefully. You
Who
don't
is
have to say
Oddie?
anything.
Yeah,
May
who
harm
is
in defence.
Oddie?
Do not mention. One question, some which later on.
Who was he
I don't know
threatening?
who the
So
witness
maybe giving
is.
evidence.
How am I supposed to intimidate a
Who
witness?
is
when I don't
Oddie?
know who
If
it
you're
is?
arrested,
Did I
prevent
approach
further
them?
What's he done?
Did I
Oh
approach
my
them?
God.
Did I approach them? Did I approach them? Did I approach
They've just
them?
been scrambling for something to try and accuse
I didn't
him
hear a
of,
word you said. I
so
don't
that
know
they
who
can
Oddie
take him
is.
from this
Who's
situation.
Oddie? You're a Nazi.
Okay.
Fuck off.
Okay.
Fuck off.
Right, okay, so I'm further arresting you for
For
hate
what?
crime, public order, section
Public
4.
order? Are you actually a
Same thing,
Nazi?
may harm in defence. You do not
Oh,
mention one
fuck
question,
off.
someone
You're
else
doing
calling
Fuck
you,
this
off,
for those
little
guys that
flower.
I do not appreciate being called a
just
Nazi.
found
Yeah,
out
well,
you really
I don't
offended
appreciate being
us.
arrested, you prick. That's me. Get off me, you fucking Nazi.
Come in front, come on.
We'll seize that because that might have evidence of the offence on it.
You lot are fucking disgusting and
for the more-
disgraceful.
Really?
Language bridge.
Fuck
If
off.
it's a one-on-one, for him.
Tell me
Really,
language.
it doesn't seem like
Fuck
it.
off.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're happy to have a chat if you want to ask any questions or anything.
No, it's just want to ask them questions.
Right, cool, that's cool by us, thank you.
Hey, you're one of those ones who know a bit more about protest rights and things such as that, or
Try to. No, a liaison, that's literally my role here today in the blue vest. So obviously, you know, be with the protest here and act as a bit of a liaison to all the wider matters.
yeah, you know, I saw a video of one of the protesters getting arrested. Yeah, there's many of those, but I don't know if it's recently. They have a backlog of videos, so I don't know if it's recent. But there's a fella called Jamie,
Right.
and he was getting arrested there.
Yeah.
Yeah, on suspicion of threatening a witness. Yeah, suspicion. Yeah. And so one moment he was walking about doing as he liked, as he has his right to do, and the next he was on the ground on suspicion.
Yeah.
And it's a courtesy. When somebody's getting arrested on suspicion, that's a courtesy they're offering you, isn't it? Because suspicion is uncommon. It's not nice to get your rights suddenly taken away from you on suspicion. It has to be done, but it's a courtesy of them, isn't it?
Well,
So unfortunately, though, when he was getting angry about such a thing happening, he called one of you a Nazi, which is a bit hyperbolic, you know. But then one of your officers slapped an additional offence on him, hate speech. Yeah. Why is that?
So I think we always arrest on suspicion because we that's what we do.
Yeah, I know.
we don't-
I think I vocalised. I have
you know.
no issue with that, really.
But then what you're also talking about is a public order offence.
Yeah, which
I don't
calling somebody a
know.
Nazi.
Well, yeah.
If what I'm telling, is that really a public order offence? Is it? Especially
can
when
be.
it's said to you,
What do you mean, especially if it's said to me?
because officers have a higher threshold. Not.
Yeah, I understand that.
But
obviously if it's-
apparently Nazi not within that.
Yeah, but well, The thing is, you've got other members of the public that could hear.
What, somebody
I don't
saying
know.
Nazi? Can I call one of you Nazi if you start arresting me on suspicion? Can I, because I'm angry and you're taking away my freedoms for maybe an alright cause? Am I allowed to have the expression of being angry at you in a hyperbolic way? Am I allowed that? Am I entitled to that?
Well, look, any officer can make a decision to arrest people for the offences that they do. I'm not going to get into.
Yeah, I know. That's the issue I have, is that you seem to have way too much discretion over something. You start, because I'm not sure if you're aware, mate. You ain't gone through some magic super soldier course or anything.
Yeah, I know.
If somebody swears at you, you can arrest them if you like. What training have you went to not have somebody spewing abuse at you, which you might find offensive, not to just slap them with something you'll probably get away with slapping them with?
Right.
What is stopping you from doing that? I think you're
I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah, I think you understand there's no way around this. It's clearly a mistake. It's clearly a mistake.
That's your opinion,
it's
mate.
not feasible that you can keep arresting people because they use hyperbolic words when they're getting arrested on the floor. I don't think that's really feasible.
How can I make a decision on something that I don't know all the information
You
on?
couldn't make an opinion which should be should lead to anything, but if it's not true, your opinion doesn't apply to the situation. If it is true, your opinion does apply to it.
Right.
And also another thing, when he was on the floor, when he was on the floor, there was an officer lecturing him about watching too much TikTok.
I can't do anything. I don't even know why I'm being arrested.
You're being dealt with by one of the most transparent police forces
Who's arrested
in the
me?
Western world.
Oh, you pedo rings and all sorts in your
Behave
fuck
yourself.
Behave
Stop
myself.
spending all your time on TikTok.
Oh, fuck off. I don't do
Reading
TikTok.
conspiracy theories and maybe just
TikTok.
get out of here.
Now, I didn't really like the idea of people getting arrested on suspicion being used as an excuse to start lecturing people on how much they use TikTok or how stupid they are. I don't think that's very professional.
Well, I haven't seen it. I wouldn't comment on it.
All right, you weren't there, but let's say, what if that happened? What would you say about that?
What do you mean? What if it happened?
Yeah, what if that happened in front of you? What would you have to say about that?
What if someone started talking to someone about watching too much TikTok?
Yeah, I must have explained it in that way. That's my issue. Somebody was complaining about TikTok or something.
Mate, at the end of the day, I know you're aggrieved by what had happened to Jamie, but ultimately, I'm not going to comment on it.
Bit over the top, charging somebody with a hate crime for when they're getting arrested on the floor, calling a police officer a Nazi. That's a bit over the top. I thought that word had kind of lost a bit of its oomph now. I'm
not going to get drawn into a conversation.
I have a lot of hate crimes on Twitter, because actually one time a police officer came to my house because of a hate crime thing. But now as I think about it, I have a lot of hate crimes I want to report to you, because a lot of people have been calling me Nazi on Twitter. I find that offensive and a hate crime. So I might have about 50 million reports to file on that. You might have to chase up. Or is it only when your ego is involved that you care about the word Nazi? And I know it wasn't particularly you. You don't might know the situation, but there were 5 officers around that situation, and none of them said, "No, don't charge me with that."
I'll say it for a final time. Yeah, please don't think I'm trying to be rude or offensive. I am not going to get drawn into a conversation that I have no knowledge, not privy to the incident or what took place at the time.
Okay, so can I call you a Nazi then? Or are you gonna not tell me and arrest me when it suits you, which you're able to do?
I think you just had this conversation with our colleague over there.
You didn't answer me. Are you gonna arrest me if I call you a Nazi?
I'm not going to get involved.
Why would you not answer such a simple question? Am I allowed to stand in front of that truck for over the amount of time that they usually do? Am I allowed to do that? Weird, because I ask a lot of police officers these questions. They go, "No, you're not allowed to. Let me explain to you. You're not allowed to do this." But now, because there's a question, it's a domino effect. If you answer this one, you have to answer the other one, don't you? So you're trying to hide. You won't answer this question because it's slightly opinionated. It might make you look a little bit bad. When somebody says something you don't like, you'll threaten them with a crime and put them in a cell for a night. You're infants. You shouldn't have the power you do. I don't know what training you think you went through, but all it's done is make you more pompous. I come from Yarmouth, and somebody once at a festival, one of people like me, annoying people with chips on their shoulders, pointing cameras in people's faces. Yeah, they were doing outside a festival where they're entitled to do, even if they are a nuisance doing it. And the health and safety officer came out, and this is on video. He said, "If you don't stop doing that, I'm going to smash your fucking face in." Oh, really? That auditor called the police. They arrived in a few minutes. Yeah. And guess what? They said we're not.
He's not going to be arrested.
Why not?
So
It's a section 5, isn't it? Public order.
it is.
Yeah.
Public order.
Dangerous to the public, that, isn't it?
He's not dangerous. He's in the profession.
Well, he's not dangerous. He's a professional, but he's threatening members of the public, so he's dangerous.
He said he could. However, we've spoken to him. Necessity for it. We have not got necessity.
Well, so threatening members of the public is fine. Can I go do that?
No.
Why not?
You know why?
Why? Because I get arrested.
No, that's not the case.
So what I take from that, it might be just two bad apple police officers. Maybe two bad apples, they exist, don't they? Or actually, maybe it's because when there's no ego on your side involved, it actually becomes quite a hassle to actually arrest somebody and take them to the cell. So when your ego's involved, oh, it's just easy. Life is easy, innit? But when there's somebody, oh, I weren't even there, what you got it on camera him saying that, oh, well, he'll say sorry, he threatened violence to your face, and there's an actual, but maybe they're just bad apples. I don't really think they were. This happened a few months ago. Right. I don't really think they were.
Yeah. Well,
but that's just my, that's very opinionated.
And he's unhappy about it, he's more than happy to comply.
So I keep using you. I need to talk to the other ones. I heard you're arrested. You're now doing.
Well, I'm just going to turn my body-worn video camera on. We just obviously have to inform you about that, okay?
Yeah. I heard you're now arresting people for a hyperbole towards your officers. Yeah.
Don't know anything about that.
So am I allowed to call you a Nazi then?
Well, are you? I mean, in what context?
In what context? Let's say I was being arrested on suspicion, and I was on the ground, and in anger and in being upset, I called one of the officers an effing Nazi.
So that's obviously an ongoing investigation, I assume. I don't know anything about it. So
but the problem is, it's best if you probably have an opinion on it, because if I do something similar to this, you've got to think on the spot. So I wouldn't wait for them to come up with an excuse, because you're on the spot.
So, with regards to any ongoing cases, I'm not going to discuss it or anything
You're not going to discuss anything.
And I'm not either going to start to discuss like,
any peripheral stuff, so I can get any idea of what I'm allowed to say or not.
No.
Nice chilling effect you put over us all. Thank you for policing hyperbole. Thank you so much. Thank you for creating this massive chilling effect, because you're too egotistical to accept that when you're arresting somebody on the ground, they get angry and they do things people might think is uncouth and might offend somebody. Thank you for policing that. I'm so grateful. Do you know what a chilling effect is? It's when you're really vague about what people are allowed to do or not, so they're too fearful of exercising their rights. Are you aware of that concept? Oh, is there something interesting over there? Is there? Something... Oh,
yeah, so I'm here to police a protest. I'm here to police this lawful activity that's going on over here to make sure that everyone's safe and stuff like that. Okay. You're trying to draw me into a conversation about hypothetical situations.
I don't think you make people safe. I think you make people fear exercising their rights, because you're too cowardly to have an opinion. But when it suits you, you'll put somebody in a cell on your discretion. You won't use your discretion to have an opinion about a matter, but use your discretion to arrest somebody and put them in a cell. Yeah, all right, something interesting there. You ever been to you know, I should take you to Pettit's. You know, there's a lot of animals there. Lovely little creatures. I'm not even a vegan, by the way. It's just true, innit?
You're not a vegan?
No.
Oh, okay.
But it's just true, innit? There's just no excuse for it. I'm not aware of any reason for why dogs are any different than these. They're a bit different. They might be less into their prey animals, I think. So they're a bit stupider, I think. But ultimately, I think when you start hacking things off and putting them in, you know, all sorts, I think they suffer similar to a dog. But, you know, they're tasty, aren't they? So, you know, there you go. So I had fun looking at the little sheeps, are we? Am I allowed to call you a Nazi? Remember, you use your discretion to arrest me on the spot, but you're not going to use your discretion right now to tell me, to give an opinion or tell me of what you deem is too offensive for me to say. Weird, isn't it? It's almost like you bit off more than you can chew in these public orders. They don't make any sense, do they? Go with the Section 5.
don't know. Sorry.
Do you not?
Mind if I just...
Yeah, I'll follow you, mate. I'm a reporter too. Like, I just kind of drop the smarmy attitude a little more. Not completely. I'm the replacement auditor. I'm the discount one they've ordered for today because they couldn't get the good ones.
Happy days. Pleased to meet you. I'm Darren. How you doing?
I don't shake people's hand. It's not horrible. Sorry, it's probably courtesy to you that I don't. You know, to be honest. Yeah, I know there's smoke where there's fire with these the vegans and stuff.
Is that your personal opinion?
I think, to be honest, if they were how passionate they are, I don't trust many people to not lie or try to cheat to do what they think is right.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
I'm not even a vegan. I just find it fascinating. I accept that I'm a bit evil and stuff, and that I need to probably figure something out. I need to persuade myself in some way. But it's just weird. Everyone hates the vegans, but when it's dogs...
Don't use the term everyone, because not everyone does.
Well,
I
yeah.
don't. Body. I think life's too short to hate anyone. There's certainly a group of people which are standing up for their own rights.
What if they're trying to take away other people's rights?
Who?
Well, anyone here I could accuse of trying to take other people's rights.
You're absolutely right. Yeah.
What about those people?
Well, I think everybody has a justified right and need to be able to say, speak, do, protest, vigil for their own way, shape, form, or way of life.
Apart from if it's calling one of the police officers a Nazi when you're on the floor getting arrested. That's what happened to that Jamie bloke. You know Jamie, don't you?
Yeah, I know Jamie. Yeah.
Yeah, hyperbolic person saying, pedo rings and all this stuff. But you know what? I don't really want the policing hyperbole, especially when it's directed at them.
Did you hear it before he was on the floor?
Did I hear it?
Did you hear him calling the police Nazis before?
It's in a video.
You've only got the version of when he was on the floor, not from before. What happened before?
Oh, so in all fairness, so what you're saying is that the problem is though, what your little problem is though, I think, is in the video the police officer.
Got a little problem.
You may do. You try to give me a problem, I may have. I'm going to give you one. Or you want to be one-sided, dear?
Yes, I'm very one-sided.
Oh, my work is done. Obtuse. And it's also freedom of expression as well.
Absolutely, of course it is.
Which they seem to have a little issue with.
Is there any need to raise a voice?
No.
I understand your passion and your empathy and your sympathy towards it all. However, there's not a need to raise a voice, is there?
It's with you, level with you. They honestly could do more net good than me, like quite a big deal compared to me. But unfortunately, they're pompous as well. They're arrogant. They're in denial about curtailing free speech. I spoke to the one who seemed to be in charge here, and he wouldn't tell me if I was allowed to call him a Nazi or not. That's called a chilling effect, where you're ambiguous about what people are allowed to say or not.
Yeah, I'm well aware of those. Yeah.
I don't have any solution for the public order offences, to be honest with you. At some point, you have to be able to throw somebody in the cell when they need to be thrown in the cell. So what they should really say is, if we deem it for the good of society, we are allowed to do this. But these are our guidelines. These are what we hope to do. But no, they present their hopes as if it's something objective and tangible. They don't know. They're just tired of people not respecting them for the work they do. They just can't be bothered. But problem is, they got a lot of responsibility, haven't they? So. And I think somebody's used the get out of jail free card, the amnesia. I think they already used that one. Bloody hell! I was about to. Can't believe it. I was just about to have that. I'm not sure if we're on good terms or not.
Yeah.
Thank God. Yeah.
Unless you hate me for inciting you climbing on.
No. You know what incited me to do that? My two brain cells. You know, like. So can I call you guys fucking pricks?
I'm here to monitor what's going on out here. I'm not here to be drawn into any conversation not relevant to this or discuss sort of hypothetical things either.
Are you right?
Not really.
What's the matter?
I'm a bit upset that nobody will tell me if I'm allowed to say a certain word or not.
Well,
Oh, well, just say it if you want to risk being put in a cell. That's all I can say. That might as well be your answer, pal.
But I understand that you've asked several
So
officers the same thing.
Yeah, I know people keep saying that, you know, but maybe you can understand that it's a bit weird that nobody's been able to answer me. I just thought there might be one of you who has a backbone. Like, you know, there's a chance, isn't there? Probably needle in a haystack, but, you know, they might exist. Like I said, the circumstance I'm saying, if I just said it to you right now.
Well, you've said it, haven't you? So.
No, I haven't called you one.
But you've said the word, so...
Am I allowed to call you one then? See, do you see that? You're trying to pretend you're being transparent, but you'll just look away, hide with a question. What are you looking over there for? You're talking to me, you're looking over there. As soon as you like to answer the ones you can get, but then as soon as things get tough, you're like, what? The hell's over? What? What's over there? What? If you're gonna not be transparent, just go with it, mate, rather than being slimy.
Slimy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not giving you an opinion. It's a matter of fact. I'm not looking weaselly.
You know, you persuaded me there. I mean, I'm slimy in my own ways. I don't have a badge, and I can't put people in cells over my flaws.
I don't put people in cells over flaws, but it's easy. Everyone's, you know.
Everyone's what?
Your opinion, isn't it?
Well, am I allowed to have the opinion of calling you a Nazi?
Well, you just have, haven't you? So there we go.
No, I didn't call you a Nazi. Can I do that? You're either not grasping it. We all struggle to grasp things sometimes, or you're being intentionally cowardly and obtuse.
Is who you say it to, and what
about you then?
How they may perceive it.
Okay, what about you? If I called you one then?
I find it a bit offensive because obviously of what it relates to, and obviously we can be offended as much as a member poet, but also like I was saying,
You can't quite actually.
But like
maybe similarly.
We're in obviously a public place. There's people here. Someone else may find it offensive. Someone's saying that word. Now, obviously, if you were talking about the history of, say, for instance, World War II or something like that, and you needed to use the word, then obviously you can. But in terms of using it as a derogatory word towards someone, that is where it could be offensive towards someone, and they can perceive it as that, and that's their view on it, isn't it, in the day. So that's the difference in it.
Yeah, problem is it does. I do appreciate your attempt. Problem is though, is that the word Nazi is thrown a lot around nowadays. I bet if I went to some protest in Norwich, you know, maybe some progressive thing, and I started saying things which they don't agree with, they have perfectly proven to call people Nazis quite flippantly. Something strikes me as if you wouldn't arrest them for it though.
Like I say, I can't comment on hypothetical situations that haven't happened.
When he was on the floor, one of your superiors, he acted like he was a superior, was lecturing him on the floor. He was taking the opportunity of an arrest of somebody to be on the ground saying, behave yourself, stop watching so much TikTok. And is that really a good idea to start lecturing somebody when they're on the ground being arrested for suspicion?
We haven't seen the footage or anything.
Oh,
so I don't know about the incident.
So would you begin lecturing somebody on the floor about TikTok?
But
so you disapprove of what that officer did if he did it?
I haven't seen the footage, have I? So I can't comment on it.
So if he did do that, would you disapprove of it?
Whatever he does has got nothing to do with me. It's what I do, isn't it? Which is
No, you can comment on other people's.
The person who was talking to it has found that what the officer said was wrong or anything like that. They're obviously entitled to make refer it to the professional standards department, and obviously they can also review the matter, and then obviously.
I prefer a quicker method is for an officer who's right there to do what's right. That's a quicker method. It takes less time, that does. When an officer goes, hey mate, this is not a time to be lecturing somebody when they're on the floor, when they're being arrested for suspicion or something. That's not the time for lecturing. So why didn't right, you're never there. You can't comment on something so simple as should a police officer be lecturing somebody when they're on the floor? Should somebody have done that? You said no. In all fairness, you said no.
Well, no, it's a definition of what you'll say is lecturing.
It's being partisan in a way that is superfluous to what is happening.
We haven't seen it, have we? So we can't comment. But somebody somebody might say it's
but
lecturing.
if they did do that,
so you say no, it's the car behind you.
I think it's pretty clear that I'm allowed to probably call you a Nazi. Maybe if it borders a harassment, but I think I'm allowed, especially maybe if I'm getting arrested. But a few conditions maybe you're not prepared to answer. Even though on the spot you'll arrest people for multiple conditions all combined at once, you've got to make the decision there. So it's weird you can't like have an opinion here. Save it for when it matters, I guess, you know? Save
Your
it for...
words, not ours, but...
Yeah, I heard you're one of the most
transparent police forces
in the modern world. You know, I would actually probably agree with that, to be honest. But I still don't know if I'm allowed to call you a Nazi or not. That would really alleviate my confusion about how our rights are being treated. You can say you don't know because it might be a bit complicated. I just want to know because I sometimes do think you're a Nazi-like. Yeah, and I want to see if I'm allowed to just go a bit further with that. If I'm allowed to have that expression. I'm not saying every scenario in which I say it right now. Right now, if I just said it to your face, why are you not telling me if I'm allowed to say a word to your face?
I said to both
To be honest with you, sticks and stones, mister.